Welcome to your weekly Security and Safety Tony Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, the Africa Independent Television. Welcome to the program. Today, my name remains Patrick Abambu, and on this program, every week we'll give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to another exciting edition of the program. Yes, today we are going to quickly go to what we have for you. We have a report and also an exclusive interview on finding solution, solving the menace of proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria. So stay tuned as we bring you the report from the Army headquarters put together by Shuli Daniels.
To maintain the Nigerian Army's tradition of sound discipline and regimentality, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja, has continued to ensure that the Regimental Sergeant Majors RSMs in the Nigerian Army continue to be equipped with requisite tools in areas of intellectualism, infrastructure, and welfare, which is in line with his command philosophy to transform the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped and highly motivated force towards achieving constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment. Recently, at the second biannual RSM's convention held in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the Chief of Army Staff stressed that the RSMs are critical stakeholders in the Nigerian Army administration.
The regimental sergeant major are critical stakeholders in the Nigerian Army's administrative and command arrangements. They are generally referred to as fathers of our units, not because of age, but because of knowledge born out of years of training and experience garnered along the path to their current status. They are the mouthpieces for the younger ones on both professional, personal, and family welfare issues. Regimental sergeant majors are expected to be repositories of wisdom and professional knowledge, and that is why commanders look up to them for advice on nearly all issues related to soldiers in their units or formation.
General Lagbaja decried the decline in the quality of RSMs at some point in the Nigerian Army, which was a great source of concern.
The decline in the quality of regimental sergeant majors that arose at some point in the Nigerian Army became a cause of concern to the Army headquarters, as a generation arose that could not satisfactorily discharge the functions of regimental sergeant majors. The impact of the gap in the effectiveness of this generation of regimental sergeant majors was felt in our operations, regimentation, and administration.
He therefore urged participants to take lessons, contributions, and pertinent ideas that arise from the convention.
As we return to your units and formations, I charge you to live up to the rank and status of your appointment by championing discipline and fair dispensation of justice across the Army. We should together ensure appropriate sanctions for misdeeds in line with extant regulations and promote a fair reward system where everyone deserving of any form of reward based on gallantry, excellence, integrity, hard work, ingenuity, and or other parameters get recognized.
Shuli Daniels reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. Yes, we'll go quickly to the interview we had with the National Coordinator, National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Major General Abba Diko, retired, where he spoke on what the center is doing. You recall that the proliferation of small arms in Nigeria has become a major cause for concern because really this has emboldened criminals to wreak havoc in the country. Sit back as we show you this interview. Today, you are the national coordinator for National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. What informed the establishment of this? Why was it necessary?
This is, Nigeria is a member of the ECOWAS. On the 14th of June 2006, there was an ECOWAS convention on small arms and light weapons, their ammunition and other related materials that was signed by member countries. And one of the provisions of that convention requires all member states to establish a national commission or a national center, or whatever you may call it, that would specifically deal with the issues of the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons in the West African sub-region. But even before then, there has been the United Nations Program of Action on small arms and light weapons, which dates back to 1998, which also requires states to take action necessary in order to prevent the wanton proliferation of small arms and light weapons. This is in addition to other instruments that Nigeria is a signatory to, including the Arms Trade Treaty, which specifically deals with the issues of formal trade in in the buying and selling of weapons generally, not only small arms and light weapons, but weapons of all categories. So in a bid to institutionalize the process of checking the excesses that is resulting from the proliferation of illicit weapons, there was the need for the setting up of this center. And before the National Center itself was established, there was a committee arrangement which was conceived in 2013 during the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. And that presidential committee was headed by an ambassador, an erudite ambassador who was of cognate experience. But it was just a committee and an assemblage of experts from ministries, departments, and agencies that met occasionally in order to look into the issues related to the proliferation of illicit weapons in Nigeria. But as a signatory to the ECOWAS Convention, it is imperative and it is incumbent on Nigeria to, by its provision, establish a framework that would formally and continually address the issues related to the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons. And so that came about the establishment of the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons on the 3rd of May 2021 to more or less absorb the duties of the Presidential Committee, which was in place at that time. But at the same time to also put in the structures that would metamorphose into a national commission or a national center that is a standalone institution that on a permanent basis addresses the issues related to the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria is the only country at the moment in West Africa that is yet to actually put this structure in place by way of a legal instrument. All other member states already have the national commissions or national centers duly recognized by law, and I think it's a work in progress. And but be that as it may, the National Center is at the moment in the Office of the National Security Advisor, and we are an organ of the Office of the National Security Advisor. And even if the bill is signed into law, by virtue of the nature of work that we are doing at the moment in the National Center, it would definitely be more plausible to leave it under the current institutional arrangement for the supervision of the Office of the National Security Advisor. Because at the moment, what we're doing is intelligence-driven, and it will be largely intelligence-driven even in the future.
What would you say had been the delay? What is the cause of the delay from Nigeria establishment from this being passed into law? What has been happening?
I think that it's not about delay. It's about what are the structures that are on the ground, functional structures that are on the ground to even facilitate the passage of the bill. And I'm very happy that within the last 2.5 years that the center came into existence, so much has been achieved that even at the level of the ECOWAS Commission itself, they have acknowledged the giant strides that Nigeria has taken through this arrangement in order to address this problem of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, or illicit small arms and light weapons. It is a matter of time before this process are concluded. At the moment, at the National Assembly, there has been significant progress in the consideration for the passage of the bill. I know that at the lower chamber, which is the House of Representatives, they have already passed the bill. It is currently at the Senate for concurrence, and I think it has also gone through the first reading. So hopefully, before the year runs out, or in no distant future, that will be concluded, and then it will be taken for passed to the executive for assent by the president. This is an executive bill, so it should receive favorable welcome at the executive when it is done at the National Assembly. Now, but we are functional. Irrespective of the bill, there has been tremendous support to the takeoff of the center. We are fully on the ground, and we've been working we've hit the ground running right from day one. At the moment, the center has its headquarters in Abuja, but then we also have 6 offices in the 6 geopolitical zones. We have the North Central office in Minna. We have the Northwest Zonal Office in Kaduna, the Northeast Zonal Office in Maiduguri, the Southeast Zonal Office in Enugu, the Southwest Zonal Office in Ado-Ekiti, and the South-South Zonal Office in Calabar. These are offices that are functional, that have been working along with other security agencies to address this particular problem. So we hope that this work that we are doing so far, with the minimal staff that we have, would even encourage the consideration of the bill and its quick passage. So I think we are quite encouraged by what is happening, but at the same time, we are also focused on doing what we are supposed to do, which is to ensure an arms-free society. And we have so many objectives that is guiding that. But the fact of the matter is that this is an establishment of government that was an executive order of the president, then President Muhammadu Buhari, on the 3rd of May, and I resumed as the national coordinator on the 6th of May. And since then, we've been up, and running and functioning.
Yeah, this is heartwarming to know that there's a serious move to get it fully established. So Nigeria will not remain the only West African country still outstanding. Yeah, we'll come to some of the achievements so far done in this short time. But there have been, please help us to clear this air. There have been some persons who have come to claim that they are also charged with such responsibility as yours, as your center. Have you heard of such people, and who are they? What is happening about them?
I think I would want to remain focused on the fact that there is a legitimate institution of government that has been established, which is the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, under the direct supervision of the National Security Advisor. It is working. Nigerians can attest to it, and it is important that we are quite, wary of all other elements that would want to lay claim to this kind of, responsibility. As far as the government is concerned, and I speak without mincing words, this is the only institution that is duly established by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the 3rd of May 2021 to address this particular problem of the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons. And at the moment, we are functioning, we are in direct benefit of staff from the military, from the other security and intelligence agencies. So the office here, that is the National Center, is staffed by serving and retired officers and men of the armed forces, of security agencies, of the police, and of the intelligence agencies. And so much has been done in order to be fully integrated into the security architecture of this country. So this is the, what I know as far as my function and as far as the institution is concerned. I'm not sure that there is any other person. And in fact, I can say it categorically, there is no any other institution in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that I know that is legitimate, that is charged with the responsibility of the mopping up of illicit small arms and light weapons in Nigeria. It's only the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons.
Oh, great. This is good. Yeah, there's so much to even talk about, but let me come to this point. I wanted to ask you earlier about your synergy, if you have synergy with other services and other, but you have provided answers to that. But let's come to the point of your link with outside Nigeria, because your work is not only in Nigeria. Nigeria percentage in terms of arms manufacturing may be very, very minimal. So these things comes from outside. How is it? How are you liaising with other countries and the agencies?
Thank you. Before I go into that regional perspective, let me tell you a little bit about synergy here. You see, the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons is first and foremost in full appreciation of the support that we've received from all security agencies, arms-bearing security agencies in particular. One of the things that we have done is to also extend our responsibility and function into the management of the stockpile of weapons and the inventory of government and legitimate institutions that are authorized to be in possession of small arms and light weapons and other related material. One of the things we have done in order to begin to check, to streamline, physical security and stockpile management of these weapons is the compliance with ECOWAS directive that each member state is supposed to have a prefix of a code subsequently in all weapons that will be purchased by that country. So for instance, Nigeria has a prefix of NG, which means that subsequently any weapon that is to be sold to Nigerian legitimate arms-bearing agency would have in its numbering system a prefix of the sign NG. And then it will now be followed by other codings which we have done. In Nigeria, we have 15 arms-bearing agencies, 15 legitimate arms-bearing agencies. I don't need to list them, but I can start from the armed forces to even the park rangers, that is the national park. Yes, they are all part of those we refer to as arm-bearing agencies. And each of these arm-bearing agencies have been issued a code. So Nigeria has its own code, which is NG. And then if the army, for instance, is going to acquire weapons, besides the NG, which identifies it as Nigeria, you will also have a code for the army that now follows that, prefix of NG. So if the army, for instance, the Nigerian army, for instance, is 01, it will now be NG 01, and then the serial number of the weapon. You see, this makes it easy for you to trace the ownership of that weapon. And now that brings me to the issue of the relationship with our neighboring countries and other stakeholders, because before you think about your neighboring countries, even within the country itself, there are other key stakeholders that are very, very vital to this, this task. And first and foremost is that every Nigerian is a stakeholder, but because we cannot be relating with individuals, we identify institutions, including the civil society, so that we can interface and relate with them in order to see that we have a broad-based approach to partnering with the citizenry in order to ensure that we are absolutely or rightly spot on in the discharge of our responsibilities. Now, as an institution, we look at Nigeria as the epicenter of our work. But you see, the trafficking of small arms and light weapons is a cross-border, a menace. And because it is a cross-border menace, we have to look at how to look at other institutional arrangements that brings in our neighbors and in order to ensure that the work we are doing here is complemented by our neighboring countries and then by other stakeholders in the international community. Early this year, we had a multilateral conference wherein we brought in our neighboring countries in order to interface with them and share information and intelligence on what we know so far as the routing of these illicit weapons are concerned, and what we can do in order to complement our efforts, as it were, to ensure that what we are doing and what they are doing is complementary, and is at the same time also supportive. So we are supposed to be having the second, meeting in the end of the year, but it's been postponed to early next year due to some other reasons beyond our control. But at the level of the ECOWAS, we have a mechanism where we share and exchange information. In the next couple of weeks, we will be having the meeting of the national chairmen of all national commissions in Dakar, Senegal. It's an annual event, and at this level, what we do is to review our activities and see how we can strengthen collaboration and cooperation amongst ourselves. At the same time, we also see how we can strengthen ECOWAS' effort in order to expand its capacity for the management of its database, which is an upcoming cell. And then we are also looking at how we can bring in other stakeholders, such as international organizations, that can facilitate our work. Within Nigeria here, there are key stakeholders that are of international nature that have some space in the discharge of their own, civil duties, such as the Minor Advisory Group and some other, like institutions. And also some foreign embassies also are also having certain instruments here and there which we tap in and leverage on in order to ensure that we widen the scope of our work. So it's still work in progress, but we've made significant inroads, so much that Nigeria is already being looked at as a hub of this initiative. In fact, that meeting we had early this year, we call it the Hub and Spoke Initiative, where Nigeria is the hub and our immediate neighboring countries of Benin, Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and the Gulf of Guinea Commission and the Lake Chad Basin Commission is the spoke. So with that, we get as much information that trickles in from them, and at the same time, we also use our center here to distill this information and see how we can share it with not only those our neighboring countries, but with the ECOWAS Commission, with other stakeholders. Now, the icing on it is that the civil society organization has also been reined in to be part of this. And I'm happy to say that we've been able to, at the level of the zonal offices, because if we want to centralize everything in Abuja, we cannot be Abuja-centric in the terms of the discharge of our responsibilities. So the zonal offices also have a stake, and because of that, we have empowered them to see how they can galvanize the efforts of the civil society organizations in their respective zones so that we can be content specific as to the peculiarities of the challenges in each respective zone. So that is so much that we're doing in terms of linking up with the international space, and at the same time also seeing how we can strengthen our own local and regional effort in order to ensure that when we are taking on the wider, stakeholders now, and what do I mean by wider stakeholders? I'm talking about weapon manufacturers. In particular, I'm talking about the international police, which we call Interpol, and then some other arrangements which are there, the Arms Trade Treaty, even the UN itself. There are so many offices, United Nations, Office for Drugs and Control, that has to do some elements of, arms proliferation there. The office, the UNIDIR, that is Institute for United Nations, Research Institute, has a lot also to do as far as this is concerned. And the Program of Action Secretariat itself, which is under the Directorate of the Department of Disarmament Affairs at the UN headquarters, we are also looking at how we can strengthen our effort there in order to ensure that what we are doing is not only within our own nucleus here, but it's felt across the board. Don't forget, Nigeria is always seen as the epicenter of everything as far as this sub-Saharan Africa is concerned. So we must get it right, and we must get it with the kind of vigor that encourages other, countries and other stakeholders to, buy into this initiative, so that the singular thing that is causing security challenge to us is the availability of these small arms and light weapons. And the danger of it is that once people become trigger happy, they don't want to ever leave the trigger. That is why there is a difference between the conduct of a trained person in the handling of a weapon and the conduct of an untrained and unauthorized person in the handling of a weapon. So it's a problem that we must look at vigorously and remove all sentiments from it, because we have to, if there is no peace, there can be development.
Welcome back. So much information there, but we'll continue with this interview, solving the menace of illicit small arms in Nigeria. It's a big problem. That is the architect of all this insecurity we have in the country and in Africa in general. Until we come away again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Send us your views and your comments so we can take it up. Until next week, I say thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.